Okay, second time's the charm. Take two. um, so I never considered myself to be a completist, and we had a very nice chat the other night on Chris's channel. My first time on it was fantastic, but Chris was asking the question if you're a builder, a completer, a collector, stuff like that. And I never ever considered myself to be a completist ever. Basically, I don't complete a lot of stuff. So anyway, that's a whole other tangent. And so I never thought about it really on that specific aspect of a hobby. There are people who get into hobbies and they have to have every single part of that hobby. They have to have whatever the hobby is, wine. They have to have all the, or like my uncle in stamps. You know, people who collect stamps want as many stamps as possible, many different stamps to try to be as complete. I mean, certain things like stamp collecting, you're never going to be complete because stamps from 150 years go on around anymore. But they try to be as complete as possible. In this specific hobby, I only got what I wanted. But in the process of getting what I wanted, I would have to say that I can think of one set that I possibly could not make right now. And I think it's the Alpha 1 base, the Blacktron 2 base. Now, I bought Blacktron 2 sets from the store shelf, all of them except for the big base at the end. Now over there I have a dozen black raised base plates, and I think I got 6 or 7 32 by 32 landing plates, Blacktron landing plates, and that's again from acquiring. But I think just a couple months ago I was actually looking something up and looking at the parts that are in the Blacktron base, and it came with, and this is where this came in, it came with the flashy lights in the front, which are the same flashy lights that were in the Space Police 1 light and sound kit. And I know I only have 2 of the white bars, the 1x6 brick bars, light bars, and they're in the Space Police 1. So if I wanted to build the Alpha, I think it's called Alpha 1 base, I could be wrong, but the big base in Blacktron 2, if I wanted to build that, I would have to bricklink those right up. Now, battery boxes, I got a million battery boxes, and the base plates, got them all. The trans, I think it's neon green, got them all. As I say, I bought the rest of the Blacktron 2 in the stores. Loved them. They're fantastic sets, but I never got around to, and I don't know why when I think about it, I never bought the base at the time. Although I would imagine I could build it, except for the 1x6 light bars. But I didn't care. I'm thinking about it now. Maybe I should try and see how far I get. But besides that specific one, I know I built all the Explorians. I know I built all the Spirius. I know I built all the Roboforce. For whatever reason, and they're all and all the other sets from basically all the other themes. The insectoids I actually got deep discount from Lego.com. Shop at Home used to have the monthly sales, and they had this is when they actually had that. They on Lugnet they would post them every month, and I ordered 2 or 3 of each set that was in there, including the big arachnid base, whatever it was. I love them. I thought they were great. And again, the original classic space. Are you kidding? But I never set out to be complete in classic space, but just because of my hobby and what I'm interested in building in classic space and buying all the lots from my friends in high school and afterwards and garage sales, I know besides the Alpha 1 base, I'm pretty confident that I could build them all, but that wasn't my intent. My intent was to buy what I wanted. And so I never considered myself to be a completist about anything until I was actually sitting down here just playing. and then I was just looking at my desk and I came across this book and I said, wait a minute, I do want to be complete and stuff, because this is a Hardy Boys book. And back in the day, I would get a Hardy Boys book from the ages of 8 till probably 11 or 12 from my parents for my birthday or Christmas, and my brother would too. And we had a lot of them over the years during our time of being preteens. And but we didn't have them all. And my dad even gave us his 3. He had 3 Hardy Boys books from when he was a kid. And so after my parents stopped buying me, just like the Lego, my parents stopped buying me Hardy Boys books, I would go to the store and I'll buy it myself. I used to take my lawn cutting money and my working on the farm down the street money, and I would ride my bike to Eastgate and I would buy a Hardy Boys book that I didn't have. I actually had, because in the back of them, you can actually see this, I guess this kid where I got this, I'll tell you the story, was doing the same thing I was, keeping track of the Hardy Boys books that you already had. And so I had, there's a checklist on one of these books, and there was no photocopiers back then. I didn't have access to a photocopier in 1979. I would have one of my books had all the books listed, and I would check off the ones I had. And I have a little piece of paper sometimes, and I go to Kohl's, at Eastgate. Oh, don't have the one? Yoink, grab it, buy it, go home. They were, at the time, $2.95 when I first started buying it out of my pocket. I remember when they jumped to $3.95. It's like, oh, they're an extra whole dollar for $3.95 for a hardcover book. It's like, oh my god. But I don't know what. At that point, I had to be complete. I had to have them all. I had to read them all. I could have gone to the library straight up. I could have gone. I think the library had all the Hardy Boys books, but I know I wanted. We already had 40 of them when I started. Probably less than that. But I started buying my own until I got all 58 original Hardy Boys books. And I remember that day I walked in there and I think it was the book number 47 I didn't have. And I bought it, Kohl's had it, went home. I'm complete. I said, oh, this is, and I remember that day that I was complete with the Hardy Boys book collection. And even had the Hardy Boys Detective Handbook, which is 59. But I was happy that day. And I just remembered that. And so what happened was, if you watch the other video, a few months back, a while back, my Hardy Boys book collection came into a little bit of an issue because I lent them to my buddy Joe for his kids. They read them all. He returned them to me. I took them to our little storage closet in the front of the basement here, and I put them up on the shelf. They're all in one big, huge Rubbermaid tote. Put them up on the shelf. Well, right above that tote, for whatever reason, I didn't even think about it, there's a shutoff valve for the faucet outside. And what had happened was, and I realized sporadically that thing would drip, and I didn't even think about it when I put the, because I meant to replace that valve since I moved in here. This place was built in 74. The valves, the little rubber seat gets whatever, and it leaks. And I meant to replace it with a 90-degree shutoff, and I did it in a lot of other places, but I didn't do it there. And then, so the tote sat on the shelf, and all of a sudden Sandy goes to me, there's tons of water in that tote. I'm like, what are you talking about? She goes, the faucet must, the shutoff must leaked into the box. And I look at the tote, and it's a big Rubbermaid tote full of 58 Hardy Boys books and half full of water. And I'm going, son of a pup. Like, really? Out of every other thing that I could have put there at one spot, full of water. So thankfully, the ones that were wet dried out okay. But, you know, old books, they expand when they're wet, right? No mold, but I dried them out as best I could. So we made it a point that every time I go to Value Village or a thrift store, I look for Hardy Boys books now that were damaged in that flood. And so I pick one up to replace one of the damaged ones. Now, the damaged ones are still completely readable. There's no mold, there's no mildew. They just like expanded. So I want to replace those with original books, not the new glossy blue ones. I want the original ones. So I keep on finding these ones when I go to Value Village. Because now I'm back and I have to complete my set again. I also, at the same time, the 3 Hardy Boys books that my dad gave me were the old beigey gray covers without pictures on it. And they had a dust sleeve. And those are the first 3 Hardy Boys books that I read. So printing 1937 kind of thing. 1948. And so when there's a couple places around the antique stores that have consignment, and they have a ton of books, really old books. And we went there a year and a half ago, and I picked up 5 original Hardy Boys books. So I think I'm up to 12 now. 12 the original Hardy Boys books, not these reprints from the 60s. And so I'm not religiously or obsessively, but I'll have a look. I see, even in Value Village, once a year, will have an original Hardy Boys book, and I'll buy it. And so I'm not actively trying to be complete, but if I find them, I buy them. And so that brings us back to the Lego about being complete. And besides the Alpha 1 base, again, I keep on calling it that, I'm not sure if it is the Blacktron 2 big base. I'm not sure if the rest of it I know I can build. And I know I can't build that one because, again, I'm missing the 1x6 light bricks. But I am complete as far as I'm concerned in the classic space. But I wasn't my intent, and I never even thought about it until I was working with this set. And I never bought this set when I was a kid. I got the, as I said in the other video, I got the go-kart instead of this set in 1977. But I finally got my hands on one of these, and again, from collecting, and I thought after, I think I was halfway through my 30s, and I said, I could probably build this from the parts of my collection. And I did. I actually built this set from the parts of my collection because, again, I acquired a lot of the tires and everything. I actually at one point had the first 6 what we would call supercars back in the day. This one, the red one, the right up to the 8448, the black one that everybody covets, the 8880, I think it is. So the first 6 supercars, I had them, including this one, but I didn't buy this one. The other ones I actually bought in the store or from online from Shop at Home. But this one I pieced together from my collection. The one deficiency of this set, after I built it 20 years ago, was I actually did not have at all a yellow hinge. One of these, didn't have one. I knew I had them when I was a kid, but they break, especially when kids are kids. So I did not have one yellow hinge plate. So I substituted red hinge plates in this car for the longest time. And I thought sooner or later I'll just go to Bricklink. I'll remember to look at when I'm ordering something else. I'll just see if they have yellow hinge plate. Never did it. Never even thought about it. And then my friend Jen sends me this one. Again, we saw it on Facebook, buy and sell. I bought it. She kept it. She picked it up for me and she shipped it to me. And I put it together. And this one came with 2 yellow hinge plates and 2 red hinge plates. And I'm going, well, now I have 2 cars. 2 cars. And they're not complete. And I said, well, I don't like that. So I actually, one of my first times ever, I went on Bricklink, I found a store, and I bought 6 yellow hinge plates. So this one got 2, and this one got 4, and now they're all yellow hinge plates on here. And that's me being complete on this set now. And the thing is that I have lots of every other hinge plate that they came in. Tons of gray, obviously, the classic space, tons of gray. Lots of blue, red, millions, well, not millions, lots of them. And even a few black, which were pretty rare, but not rare enough that I don't have them. But I don't have any yellow. I'm going, that didn't make it to now. So I wanted to be complete, and it was like, I can't remember what the Bricklink bill was, but it was like $3, whatever, for 6 hinge plates. Sure, send them over. I ordered some other parts, a couple minifigs, because I had to make, his minimum buying. Bought some minifigs. So, because that's what I do. Anytime I order from a Bricklink store, the pieces that I need, I'll go look. Trans yellow. What do they have? This is why I have so much trans yellow. They have canopies. And they're for whatever, I'll add 6 of them, right? Just to get the quota. And this is what, I don't order specific numbers. I order over specific numbers, and then I order to fill it in, parts that I might need or I'm thinking about or whatever. So Bricklink. But anyway, the one thing I haven't done overall is, so you have this car. And you say, I built this car from pieces from my collection 20 years ago, which would be 2000. And you say, they changed the mold of a lot of these bricks from 1977 to 2000. For example, the 1x plates, I think it was by 2000, they had started thinning out the plastic to use less plastic, to be more environmentally friendly. And actually the bricks too, the 2x bricks. And you can even see This is a new 2x4 brick. It's got the thinner walls with the little things on it. So, but for me, this is still a 2x4 brick, but it's not era specific to this car. Now, I know I have in the 2x4 bin of yellow bricks an era specific part for this thing. Don't care. I just reached in, I grabbed the 2x4 brick and I put it on. So this car, if I were to sell it, this is my problem with me selling on Bricklink. This is complete, done. Here, you want to buy this set right now? Here you go. This is mine. This is one I built 20 years ago out of my collection. Now, it's going to come with bricks that are newer than the era that this set was released, because some people want the era-specific pieces. For me, a 2x4 brick is a 2x4 brick. Now, the color, obviously, it has to be yellow. The instructions say it has to be yellow, and there's a yellow 2x4 brick. They say, but it's not the 1977 yellow 2x4 brick. Okay. Oh, well. I don't care. But then I started caring a little bit. So because I said to my friend Jamie over at the Brick Shack, hey, Jamie, how would you like to display all my, because I'm actually completing this, all my original 1977 Technic models, or Expert Builder at the time. So the forklift, the motorcycle, the helicopter, the go-kart, the crane, this thing. How would you like to display those? Because I think people would be interested. If they're not, they're not. You know, tell me they're not, and I'll leave them at home and here. I can leave them here. But then I start looking at it, and I start turning them over, and I'm going, yeah, I can notice that 1x4 brick or 1x4 plate is from 3 years ago and not from 1977. So I replaced that, because there's gonna be fans out there. Ooh, that's really cool. Oh, that's not the right brick. Because I do that with Star Trek. So I'm not faulting them. I'm not faulting them by saying that brick did not come with that set because it's the wrong era. This is exactly the right type of brick, but it's the wrong era of brick. I get there are fans like that out there for this hobby. They want to be complete to the minutiae of the right era of brick in the set. It depends. It depends. If the functionality is changed and it's different, even though it's quote unquote the same brick, when you have the clippies, the 1x1 clippies from 1979, 1980, and the clippies now, they're different. They look different. And even so there's a few pieces that the headlight bricks, some have that little tiny open area where the stud comes up from the bottom, and the other ones don't. And so you can see right away that that's a different era of brick. But if you have a 2x4 brick, if you can't see the bottom, how do you know that's a new brick or an old brick? Besides the fact that old bricks fade. I mean, straight up, you can just tell. I mean, not in this video, but if you're looking at this right now, I can hold it there and I can say, oh, that's a new 2x4 plate right there. Just because it's glossy. It's shiny, and the rest of it isn't. So it's like the rest of it's from 1977 or whatever, and this one is probably from 3 years ago. So I'm going, yeah, that. And you look really close, and you can see the injection molding on the top of the stud, whereas from 1977, all the injection moldings were on the side, on the actual side of the brick. And that's just something you get used to as a fan. So I don't know if you can see this. You can see right there on top, that's where the injection molding is, right there on top. And older bricks, the injection molding was on the side. And so even from a distance, somebody would say, hey, even if it wasn't glossy and looks a little more red than the rest of the red, they would say that's a new brick or new plate versus an old plate. I get it. I'm not going to fault you for being that way, because a lot of people enjoy the hobby that way. They want, this is why I don't have a Bricklink store, they want the era specific brick. And I love you guys for it, because you guys are more passionate about that specific aspect of this hobby than I am. When I build my 918s and my 928s, I will go back there and I'll grab a 1x6 plate, and it'll have the holes in the pips in the bottom. They'll have it, because I just want something in the layout that, you know, 1,000 people are going to come past the show. Hey, I had that set when I was a kid. And then we have a conversation, and it's great. That's what I want, right? That's what I want out of this hobby. I want the interaction with the fans. I want the interaction with the people who love it. I want the interaction even online here, watching Chris's stream. Love it, because everybody approaches this hobby differently. And I don't think there's a wrong way on that specific instance of the hobby. I think if you are, you know, you're I won't say obsessed, it's not the right word. If you want your pieces to be era specific to the restoration of your set, absolutely, absolutely. I wanted these things to be on display for the average people to come through and look at them and say, hey, that's really cool. I remember seeing that in the back of a magazine. And they're not going to say, oh, that 1x4, the 2x4 plate is not from 1977. I would notice it now, and you guys might notice it if you're, you know, into that kind of specific part of the hobby. I don't know. The one thing, you know, and this is where it gets a little, again, changing. Old gray versus new gray is old gray, 100%. I notice that, and I'm colorblind. Dark gray is the easiest thing in the world to see. I can tell very easily the difference between old dark gray and new dark blay. Very easy. The old gray versus new blay, I have to have the right light, which is why I have a tough time with Jamie's pick-a-brick. Because like the light isn't right, and I go, oh, these are the old pieces, and I put them in, I get home, oh, they're all new. They're all blay and not gray. Oh well. Doesn't matter. When they're here, I can sort them out better because I got this light that actually helps me tell the difference between blay and gray. And so when I'm building my sets for the layout, and I want it to be the old gray, I absolutely will make them gray. So everybody has their point of demarcation between what they're willing to put up with and what they're not willing to put up with. For me, it's not era specific unless it really has to be, unless it really detracts from the thing. So seeing an injection mold on the top of the stud instead of on the side of the plate, I'm not there overall. I'm actually noticing it more now, so maybe I'm gonna get there because as I get older, I know I'm looking at it and it bothers me. So I might go back there and grab a 2x4 plate from the right era. I don't know. Okay, I'm gonna wrap this up. I thought I was gonna make a quick video just talking about how I'm not a completist when it comes to this hobby, even though overall I am complete. With one bricklink order, I would be complete, because I wasn't setting out to be complete. I was setting out to build a classic space collection for my guys, and my guys being my minifigs, and because that's a whole other story. I might do a whole other video on it, but that's what I was setting out to do. And because I did that, and I acquired all these sets through all these various means of buying off of friends, buying off the newspaper, buying off of flea markets and thrift stores, and even now eBay lots and Kijiji lots and Facebook buy and sell lots. I happen to acquire a lot of Lego that made me complete. And there isn't too much from 1965 to 1999 that I can't build right now. Does that give me comfort? A little bit, right? Like when we have these chats and, oh, Dave, I was talking about this set, and all of a sudden I wanted to build it. So I did. So somebody posted this last week, and then I did a whole video on it. It's nice. I have what I have because that's what I wanted. I wasn't setting out to be complete. I was setting out to have a hobby that I can just reach back here and get whatever I want, to build whatever I want, whenever I want. And what happens now is that if I am short a 2x4 plate hinge, I'll just go to Bricklink and I'll get it. And I've done that so many times where I'll be building whatever. Oh, I need this piece. Well, I'll continue building, but I'll leave that alone and I'll make a Bricklink order and I'll get it and I'll, like everybody else, and just continue building. The hobby is there. The hobby is fantastically there. So if you want it, if you want a piece that you do not have, you can actually get it. If you want an era-specific piece, there are lots of Bricklink stores that deal with era-specific pieces. They will even tell you this was injection molded in 1972 to 1974. So you can complete your set from that era with that specific era-specific piece. And I love the fact that you want to do that. And I want to see it. I want you guys to gush over it. I want you guys to get on a YouTube channel and talk about, oh, look at this vehicle that was from 1972 and it has all the right pieces in it, I'm going to be enthralled, absolutely 100% enthralled by that. I'm not going to do it. Not yet. Give me a few years when I have more time. Right now, I just wanted to be color complete in this set. And that's all I wanted. And as I say, I'm not a completist with the whole aspect. I will say, and not that I'm trying to push this over 30 minutes, I will say that because my collection is old and a lot of it was mine and a lot of it was, most of it was used, that there are a lot of pieces, not a lot of pieces, there are some pieces that were really beat up, or not even remotely really beat up, but even have a few nicks or teeth marks or bumps on a corner of a plate or a brick. And when I come across those now, that I say, I can't use that, I just throw it in the bin. Depends on what it is. A dent is fine. If it causes the pieces not to fit together nicely, so you don't get a closed seam, I will get rid of that brick now, depending if it's the basic brick. Before I never cared. I would just build with the crappiest, most beat up pieces you've ever seen. But now it's more like, oh, that one's it's got too many marks on it. It's got too many dents in it. I'm not gonna, and it goes right into the bin. It doesn't go back into the collection. It goes right into the bin of my discards, which I've never done before. But I'm at the point now where I do want it to overall look better than it did before when I'm building something for the space layout or whatever. And again, the piece depending, like if it's a wing plate, a little more forgiveness there. If it's just a basic 2x4 brick that the dog chewed 25 years ago, it's going to go in the bin. It really is. If it's got a nick out of it, if it's dented, so they, as I say, they don't fit together nicely, I'm not going to play with it. I'm just going to go right into the bin, and it can go to Janie if she wants another bin of broken and beat up pieces. I don't do that for discolored pieces yet. I do have, even in here, I have a discolored piece right there. After a while, the blue and the dark and the light gray and even the yellow, the white, they get a little brown. I haven't retro-brighted these things. I'm thinking about it, but I haven't gotten to the point where, oh, if it's discolored, I'm not going to put it into the build, even though it's the right piece and the right color, because that I haven't cared about. When I build the tower, and you can see the tower, it's not built with new pieces at all. There's some new pieces, but most of them are old. I think I've pointed out in a few videos where some of the blue is really discolored, like it's almost brown. I think it gives it an authentic, used, lived-in feel when I'm building something for display. I don't want it to look pristine, because this is on the moon, and if you've seen the shuttle, even in space, coming back to Earth, it doesn't look pristine. It looks like it's been used. It looks like it's well worn. And so I wanted to give it that look. You know, this display model, I don't want it to be dusty, and I want it to be glossy, and you can see it's the sun, the light shines on it, so it's all nice and glossy. That's a display model of a Technic set from 1977. Sure, make it look pretty. Get the prettiest pieces you have and put them in there. But my space layout, I want it to look lived in, because now I'll talk about it in a different video, because there's a whole fantasy genre in my mind of how that whole thing came out, and I haven't really talked about it specifically. But when it comes to my classic space, I want it to look like the Enterprise in season 2 of the original series, and like lived in, used, not pristine. There's bumps and scratches on it. That's what I want. So that's a whole other story. Anyway, this is now almost over 30 minutes, so I'm gonna wrap it up. I've talked too much. I am not a completist by nature. I'm not OCD to be a completist, but there are certain things that I wanted to be complete in, and I don't make it a habit, but there are certain things that I wanted to be complete in, and that I am complete in. But the Lego hobby isn't one of them. The Lego hobby, I get what I want because I'm going to be building something. And if I'm missing it, I'll just order off of Bricklink. But I've never gone through all my space sets to make sure every single one is complete. And I definitely haven't gone through the whole thing to make sure there are era-specific parts complete. I don't care. But I'm glad some people do. So you guys, stay safe, stay healthy. I love all of yous. I miss y'all. So I miss doing shows, and this is my mini show right now. So thank you for putting up with me yapping on, for yammering on for 30 minutes about whatever. Thanks to Chris for the idea for this. Again, it wasn't even, I was there on his show, had a blast. Thank you for Chris for reminding me. But I thought about it when I was doing his show, but it really didn't hit me until I sat down here not half an hour ago and I picked up this book and I said, yeah, sometimes I want to be a completist. Not overall, it's not a huge part of my hobby, but every once in a while I want to be completist. And but it's not an overarching need to be completist. And but some people are, and I applaud you guys for it. So that's it. I will talk to you guys soon. I will come up with another idea to talk about instead of ripping off Chris's idea. So, you guys all stay safe.